What do you hear when you see this? These figures at the bottom left, is this a murmuring crowd or a group waiting quietly for something to happen? What about this black monolith? A dead, empty space, or an instrument? A piano maybe? If it's a piano, what is it playing? Bach, Mozart, Beethoven, Debussy, or maybe even Schoenberg or Scriabin? But what do you hear when you see this colour? Anything? For the artist, for Vasily Kandinsky, this colour sounded like loud, sharp trumpets. He had what's called synesthesia, a condition where people experience the activation of one sense as the result of experiencing another. For Kandinsky, this meant that when he heard sounds, he saw colour. And when he saw colour, he heard music. And this painting, Impression 3, Concert, is his visual response to the experience of hearing a concert of music by his contemporary and friend, the composer Arnold Schoenberg. What this painting tells us is that colour and its relationship with sound and music are very important to him, but it also shows us Kandinsky's drive to make his paintings more abstract, to make art that lacked any representation of objects or anything in nature. Kandinsky believed that the more abstract the form, the more clear and direct its appeal, and he felt that music was the pinnacle of abstraction. He wrote the following: "Music has been the art which has devoted itself not to the reproduction of natural phenomena, but rather to the expression of the artist's soul." You can listen to Debussy's La Mer, for example, in the knowledge that it's an impressionistic depiction of the sea, waves, storm and wind. But you can also listen without knowing anything about the composition, and it can still have a profound effect. Music is inherently abstract, and this is what Kandinsky was aiming for in art. He wanted his paintings to be an expression of an inner need, an expression of his soul. Green is the most restful colour that exists. In music, the absolute green is represented by the placid middle notes of a violin. White has the harmony of silence, which works upon us negatively, like many pauses in music that break the melody. A total dead silence has the inner harmony of black. In music, it is represented by one of those profound and final pauses, after which any continuation of the melody seems the dawn of another world. Black is the colour of least harmony at all. Light warm red is the sound of trumpets, strong, harsh and ringing. Cool red, madder, is the sad middle tones of a cello. Orange's note is that of an angelus or of an old violin. Violet is an English horn or the deep notes of a wood instrument such as the bassoon. And blue is the heavenly colour. A light blue is like a flute, a darker blue a cello. Darker is a thunderous double bass. And the darkest blue of all, an organ. Kandinsky wanted to find a means of communication that was universal through perception of colour. Colour is the keyboard, the eyes are the hammers, the soul is the piano with many strings. The artist is the hand which plays, touching one key or another to cause vibrations in the soul. But it could be argued that Kandinsky's next work in the series, Composition 8, was the closest he ever got to music in art. It's constructed around a number of geometric forms: circles, semicircles, open-ended acute angles, squares and rectangles, some coloured, some taking on the off-white colour of the background. Colours on this canvas combine like musical chords. Consonant and dissonant harmonies are heard simultaneously, one followed by another without resolution. On top of this, lines and shapes create forms and melodies that run and bleed into each other, creating long, drawn-out motifs. Viewing Composition 8 is like listening to a piece of music in the blink of an eye, with the harmonies and rhythms all being played at the same time. And so the arts are encroaching, one upon another, and from this will rise the art that is truly monumental. Every man who steeps himself in the spiritual possibilities of his art is a valuable helper in the building of the spiritual pyramid, which will someday reach to heaven. So the next time you're looking at a painting, just ask yourself, what does this sound like?
Using colored pencils and paper, we are going to create our own abstract art like Kandinsky to music. Today in class, I'm going to play a song for you, and you will close your eyes and listen to the melody. What shapes jump out at you when you're closing your eyes? What colors come across your mind? So allow yourself to drink in the music and visualize what you see in color and shape. Once you have the color and shapes in your mind, I'll play the song one more time. And this time, you are going to put those onto your paper. You can follow the rhythm of the music, or you can follow what you hear is being played and represent it in your own unique way. While listening to this song, one thing that jumped out at me was the rhythm of the drum beat, and it was like a tap, 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 and it made me think of a square surrounding a square surrounding a square. 3 beats to that rhythm, and it was a tap, tap, tap. So I represented that by drawing a square outlined with a black line, and it just reminded me of that drum beat. And so I wanted to represent that with a shape, and the black surrounding it made me think of that tss, the way a drum hits. And I did a stack of 3 squares on top of each other to represent that drum beat that I heard. So if there's a beat that stands out to you, and there's a way you'd like to show that artistically, go for it. You can do this with modern music as well. So take a song that's modern from today and close your eyes. And what do the rhythms look like? What do the rhythms sound like? But also, how can you show that rhythm using line and shape? Every artist has a unique signature. On your paper, sign your initials in the corner. That's to know that this is your artwork. On the back, label it abstract art. And if you'd like to title your work, you can. Because I thought of a drum when I was listening to this song and I represented squares, my title is The Drum. And this will be your first entry for your sketchbook.